Hello everyone, my name is Kumar and welcome back to our channel Kumar Programming. This is the 32 part of the series where we are building a e-commerce project as online shoe store in Next.js 15 and React 19. Essentially, in our previous session, we have implemented sign-in with Google as OAuth provider in our Next.js application. Since Auth.js supports for the multiple providers, so I thought to implement sign-in with Facebook as well, so I could show you that what all the changes needs to do whenever we are having our multiple providers. And in a similar way, we can integrate any of the OAuth provider which is being supported by Auth.js. And we will implement this authentication process with Facebook step by step by using document provided by Auth.js. And now let me quickly show you that after this session, how our application will be able to authenticate with Google as well as Facebook provider. Now, if you see here, this is our production environment. And once user will try to sign in, here we are seeing both options with Google as well as Facebook provider. So now let's first try with the Facebook. Now here it's redirected to our Facebook authentication page. Now here we are going to sign in with Facebook and continue as Kumar. Now if you see here, I'm logged in with my Facebook email ID, right? And now further, I'm going to log in with the same email ID by using Google provider. So now let's sign out and try with the Google provider. Sign in with Google and now it's redirected to the Google, right? Now here we can enter our password. And now see, we have successfully authenticated with the Google provider as well by using the same email ID for both of the provider. All right. Now let me quickly show you what all the steps that we have to follow in order to implement our Facebook as a OAuth provider. So simply we are going to use Facebook as OAuth provider by following these 4 steps. The very first one, we are going to set up our auth.js file for our Facebook provider, and that would be very simple. We will just add one line, our Facebook provider, and it would be done. Then after that, we are going to configure our Facebook OAuth for authentication, where we are going to create our Facebook application and we will do some configuration for scope and redirect URI. And once our Facebook OAuth configuration is completed, after that we are going to create our Facebook sign-in button and we will see how to handle user multiple accounts, profiles and their session once they are trying to log in with the multiple provider with the same email ID. And eventually we are going to deploy our application in production environment and we will test it for our multiple providers such as Google and Facebook. Alright, so now let's start. Now if you see here, this is the next auth.js and at the very top they have mentioned here next auth is becoming auth.js. Since in my previous session also I mentioned this, and in this session also I'm going to reiterate that this next auth is going to become as auth.js, and the document which we have on next auth.js is going to be replaced with auth.js.dev, right? So till the version 4 we have our next auth.js and version 5 is going to become as auth.js. Since we are working on version 5 which is beta as of now, so we are going to use our documentation for auth.js, and also the whole idea is moving from next auth.js to auth.js is that earlier this auth.js was intended to implement for next application, but after that they decided to implement it for other frameworks like Express, Svelte, Quick, and many more frameworks is being supported by next auth.js. Okay, so now we will refer our new documentation as auth.js. And if you have already used this next auth till version 4, then you can migrate from version 4 to version 5, and here they have provided this migration guide. See this migration to version 5, and they have provided all the guidance step by step what you have to do the changes in your application. Since we are using already version 5, so we are not to do any migration over here. So I'm going to refer our auth.js documentation here. All right, so now let's get started from here. And here if you go to the provider, and inside the provider we should be having Facebook. See here we have Facebook, and now if you see, we need to do some setup like callback URL and add some environment variable. We will add this callback URL once we will create our application in Facebook OAuth. But before that, let me create this couple of environment variable inside our .env file. So here inside our application, here we have our .env file, and right after this our Google Auth, we are going to add our Facebook environment variable as well, which is auth Facebook ID and auth Facebook secret. and we will get these two values once we will create our application inside our Facebook OAuth. And now second thing, which we are going to add our Facebook as provider inside our auth.js file. So we will copy this and go to our auth.ts file. Here in our auth.ts file, we are going to add our provider Facebook, and we are going to import this Facebook provider from next auth provider Facebook. And for now, that's all the changes we need to do in our auth.ts file. Now further, we are going to create an application inside our Facebook developer console, and we will get our application client ID and secret, right? Now here, let's search for our Facebook developer console, and simply you have to go to this developer.facebook.com, and here inside my application, if you have not created an account on this Facebook developer, you can just create an account from here, and then after that you can create an application. So now here I'm going to create an application. From here, create app, and I'll give the name of this application name as Shoe Store. Now next, and here we have to select the use cases for which use case that we want to create this application, right? So our use case is authenticate and request data from user with Facebook login. So we are going to use this use case. Now select this, and from here go to next. Now here you have to select your business. So as of now, we are not going to attach this application to any business profile. So simply I don't want to connect a business portfolio yet. Continue to the next. And now here we have to finalize your application. So here, if you see, we need a business verification as well as we need this app review. So whenever you have to go for live, then you have to do this business verification for Facebook application as well as this application needs to be reviewed. But as of now, we are creating this application for the testing purpose, right? So we don't need this business verification and application review for the time being. Now go to the dashboard, and here I need to provide password, submit. All right, so now if you see here, for our Shoe Store application, here we have our dashboard, and here we have to configure our application. So here the first option which we have on the dashboard as customize adding a Facebook login button, right? So now let's click on this. And here we are requesting for the permission from the user for email and public profile. Since public profile is already associated, but email needs to be added. So now let's add email here. And now if you see, this email and public profile both are available for ready for testing, right? Now go to the setting, and here if you see client OAuth setting, right? So by default already it's enabled client OAuth login and web OAuth login, and here we have an option for force web OAuth re-authentication, right? So for the re-authenticating, user must have to provide their password. So we will enable it. And here if you see this valid OAuth redirect URI, so we need to add our redirect URI over here. And here if you see in the documentation, the very first point was this is our callback URL, right? So I'm going to copy this callback URL, and we are going to use our production environment. So I'm going to use this URL here. I'll simply replace this. Right now this is the URL, callback URL, which we are going to use. So I'm going to paste it over here at this place, valid OAuth redirect URI. Okay, now save it. And the next thing, we have to provide for our local host. So here we are going to add for our local host as well, and I'll remove these things. Local host 3000 port, right? Since we are running our application on 3000 port. And I'll remove this yes from HTTP, since we are local application are running on HTTP, right? Now let's press enter. Now let's save the changes. Now here we are seeing the error as HTTP localhost redirect are automatically allowed, right? While in development mode. Since our application is in development mode, so it's automatically allowed. So we don't need to add this redirect URI for localhost. So let's remove this, and now try to save it once again. Now it's saved it. Now we will go to the setting. This is our setting here, application setting, and here we have our basic setting. So we are going to select this basic setting. And now here if you see, here we have our application ID and application secret, right? So we are going to copy this our application ID, and we are going to paste in our application.env file. So here we have our .env file, and here we are going to put our application ID, right? Now we are going to add our secret. So here we are going to add this secret as well. Copy this and add this secret over here. All right. Now here few things. Once you are going to submit this application, so you have to provide this application icon, privacy URL, right? And URL for user data deletion category. All those things are needed, right? So as of now, we are not submitting our application because submission is required for a business verification and review. So as of now, we are just going to use this application for the testing purpose, right? Now the basic configuration are completed in order to test our OAuth feature. Now we are going to create a server action to authenticate with Facebook, as well as we will create a Facebook sign in button and we will hook up our server action with sign in button. All right. So now let's go back to our code and inside our user action. Here we have our user action, and inside this, if you remember that we created a function sign in with Google. Similarly, we are going to create a server action for Facebook as well. So here we are going to have a Facebook, and I'll rename this function as sign in with Facebook. And here we are going to pass provider as Facebook. Now we are going to create a Facebook sign in button and we will integrate this sign in with Facebook server action with Facebook sign in button. Now inside our app, here we have auth, sign in, and here we have our credential sign in form. So similarly, which we have created a button here for Google sign in button. See here we have created our Google sign in button. In the same way, we are going to create another button as Facebook sign in button. Here I'll create Facebook sign in button. I'll rename it as Facebook, and inside this button, here we are going to create a function as Facebook sign in, and I'll write the message as sign in with Facebook. And here I'll remove this SVG because this SVG was for Google. Now I'm going to take SVG for our Facebook. So here inside our browser, I'm going to take our SVG icon from our icon8.com, icons8.com, and here I'll write Facebook and search the icon for Facebook, right? So I'm going to use this icon and download it, and here we have SVG, right? So now I'm going to copy this SVG and I'll paste it in my application here. All right, now save it, and we need to create this Facebook sign in function. Copy this, and here I'll create a function as Facebook sign in. Simply I'll copy this Google sign in and I'll use this for Facebook as well. Okay, Facebook sign in, and I'll replace this with Facebook sign in. And here I'm going to call our server action sign in with Facebook. All right. And now I'm going to use this Facebook sign in button at the very bottom of the screen. So here we have used our Google sign in button, and right after this, and here I'm going to use our Facebook sign in button. Now let's save it. Now further, I would like to show you that what all the changes we need to do once we are using multiple providers in our auth.ts file for our sign-in callback. So here in our auth.ts file, we are using our sign-in callback. You remember that in our previous session also we used our sign-in callback for Google provider, right? So similarly, we have to use for our Facebook provider as well. Since we have given our condition here as account provider equal to Google, similarly, we have to provide another condition for Facebook as well. So here, if account provider equal to Facebook, and for the Facebook, we don't have email verified, right? So here simply we have to check if we have profile.email, then we are going to return true, else we are going to return false. Okay. And also I would like to show you that what all the value we are getting in account and profile once we are logging with the Google and Facebook provider. So here I'm going to log this console.log, and inside this we are going to log our account and profile. Okay. So we can see what all the values we are getting inside our account and profile. All right. Now we are going to test our application. Now let's verify our application in the browser. Now here inside our browser, localhost, and also we will open our Prisma Studio, localhost 55. Okay. Now here we are getting error, this invalid source prop, right? So we need to add this source in our next config file for our Facebook image. So now let's add this as well. Here inside our next config file, here we are going to add this host for Facebook as well, right? You remember that we added this host for Google. Similarly, we have to add this host for Facebook as well. Now save it. Now let's see. Perfect. So now here we are able to see our home page. Click on sign in button. Now here we are seeing our sign in with Facebook button, but we should not see this or, right? Since already we are having or. So we are going to remove this. So here inside our code, credential sign in form, and we have our this Facebook sign in button, and we are going to remove this div, right? Now save it, and now let's refresh it once again. All right. So now here we are seeing our both of the provider, Google and Facebook. Now let's click on the sign in with Facebook. Here we are seeing the spinner for both of the buttons. So we will fix this issue. See now, we have redirected to our Facebook authentication page, right? So now here we are going to put our password and click on continue. And here it's asking to continue with Kumar, since already I have added my user over here. So it's asking to continue with Kumar. Now it's going to authenticate it with our Facebook provider. Now see, now here we have authenticated with Facebook. Now if you see here, I'm seeing here my Facebook username and Facebook email. Now I would like to show you that what the profile data we are getting. So here, so if you see here this is our Facebook. So if you see this in account, so if you see here we are getting access token, and here we are getting token type, expire in, expire at, right? And here we are getting Facebook provider, and type we are getting OAuth, and inside the profile we are getting profile ID, name, email, and picture. Okay. And I would like to see you data inside our database. So let me just refresh this. Now if you see here, there's a new user ID created, right? This Kumar Yadav along with this email ID. All right. And now at the right side, I would like to show you, see, this is the image which is coming from Facebook, right? So far so good, but here is an issue. Like if the same user is trying to log in with another provider, then we would be getting error. Let me show you. Now let me log out from here and sign in with Google provider. So now sign in with Google. Now we should be getting an error over here. See, OAuth account not linked. So whenever we are trying to access with the same email ID with the multiple provider, we would be getting this issue in our Auth.js. So what we are going to do in our Auth.ts file, we will do some changes. Now here, Control J, and here in our Auth.ts file, so in order to support with the multiple providers with the same email ID, we have to do some changes. So first of all, we have to find out the user if it exists in the database or not. And after that, we are going to update our user table as well as account table, right? So now here, I'm going to check if this account provider is Google or if we have account provider as Facebook. For the time being, I'm going to comment it. And here inside this, so first of all, we have to check our user if it exists in the database or not. So const user equal to await prisma dot user dot find unique, and inside this unique function we are going to pass our where clause, right? And which would be where, and we are going to pass our email, and it would be profile.email. All right. Now here we have to check if user exists. It means we have our email ID, right, inside our database. So here if user exists, then here we need to update our user table as well as account table both, right? So in our user table we have to update the profile image, right? Since once user is trying to log in with the Google, so we have to update our Google profile, and once user is trying to log in with Facebook, then we have to update the profile image for the Facebook, right? So let's update this. So here we have await prisma dot user dot update, and inside this update function we are going to pass our where class, and inside this where class we have email ID, we have email which would be profile dot email, right? And second thing, we need to update our data. Data would be, we have field name image which needs to be updated with profile image, and this profile image needs to be configured dynamically, right? And this profile image is coming in a different format. Then what we are going to do, I'm going to create a variable over here as let profile image, and I'll pass undefined initially. Okay. And now here I'm going to check if account provider is Google. If account provider equal to Google, then we are going to pass in our profile image as profile.picture. Else if we have this provider as Facebook, then inside our profile image we are going to pass our profile picture, and then we have data profile picture dot data dot URL. Okay. For the Facebook, we are getting our profile picture in this field. So we are going to update this our profile image over here inside our user table every time once user is trying to log in, right? And we need to update our profile image every time while user is logging, because user might change their profile image, right? So we should keep updated our database with their profile image. Now the second thing, we have to update our account table as well, since we need to add this provider in our account table manually. So here we are going to update our account table as well. Await prisma.account.upsert, right? Upsert is used for update and insert both. So here inside our upsert, we need to pass three things: where clause, update, and create, right? So here where, and inside our where class, so here we have to check two things: provider and provider account ID, right? So we have to provide multiple ID in our where class. So how we can provide that? Here provider underscore provider account ID, provider account ID, and inside this we are going to pass our provider and provider account ID. So here provider account dot provider, also we need to check with provider account ID. So here provider account ID, and here account dot provider account ID. So on the basis of provider ID and provider account ID, we are going to update our data, right? So here after where class, we are going to update, and after this we are going to create, right? So this upsert, what it does, if we have this data inside our account table, then it's going to update, and if we don't have this data inside our account table, then it's going to create the record, right? So now here we are going to create the record. So here I'm just going to copy paste for all the fields which we are going to update, right? So here we are updating our user ID, our provider account ID, type, access token, expiry date, and token type, right, inside our account table. And in update also, if the record is already exist, then we have to update our access token and expiry date, okay, because these two things are getting changed every time once user is trying to log in, right? So now let's update it over here. All right, now let me minimize this user section, and here we are going to check again if provider is Google or Facebook, right? So here if this account.provider equal to Google, then we are going to return profile email verified, okay? And also if we have provider as Facebook, then here we are checking our profile.email exist, then we are returning true, otherwise returning false. All right, so now we have done our changes. Now we are going to see if we are able to log in with our Google as well as Facebook provider both for the same email ID. Now see here, now refresh this. Now if you see here inside our database, this is the user, right? See here kkyprogramming@gmail.com, and as of now we have our here image Facebook. And if you see our account table, here we should be having one entry for our Facebook. See, this is E30D, right? Now see the user E30D, this E30D, right? So this user is logged in with Facebook. Now I'm going to try to log in with Google. Now sign in with Google. Yep, all right. Now if you see here, I'm logged in with Google now, and here we are able to see our Google profile image. And also if you see here inside our Prisma Studio, let me refresh this, my user table. And now if we come to the right side, see here, now our profile image is updated for the Google. And also if you see here inside our account table, we must be having two entry, one for Google and one for Facebook. See here this E30D, one entry for Google and one entry for Facebook. And now we would be able to log in with our Google as well as Facebook. Now let's see, now let's try with the Facebook, sign out and sign in once again. Now we will try to log in with Facebook. Now put this password over here and continue. See, now we are able to log in with our Facebook as well. And now here you can see our Facebook profile image, and inside our database also, if you see here inside our user table, now we should be having our profile image for Facebook. See, now our profile image is updated with Facebook. And now quickly let me fix our spinner as well. So inside our credential sign in form, here we are using our transition hook, right? So simply we are going to take another transition over here for Facebook. So this is pending Facebook and start transition for Facebook. Okay, now we are going to use this start transition for Facebook. Here this is Facebook, right? So this is start transition for Facebook. And also inside our Facebook sign in, here we are going to check each pending with Facebook. Okay, now we should be good. Now let's go back to our browser. Here now let's sign out, sign in once again. Now sign in with Facebook. Now if you see here, we are seeing the spinner for only one. All right. So now we are able to log in with Google as well as Facebook, both of the provider with the same email ID. Now we are going to quickly commit our changes and deploy in our production environment. So now here I'm going to open this. Now I'm going to open another terminal here, git bash terminal. Now here git status. So we have done the changes in our 4 file. Now let's add it, all those files for commit. So git add dot, it's going to add all those files. Now git commit. I'm going to give the message as session 32 updated with Facebook auth. Okay, commit it and git push. Now it's going to push our changes to our production. And also we need to maintain this our branch in a separate branch for this session 32. So now here I'm going to create a branch, git branch feature session 32, and this is our commit ID, right, for our session 32. So I'm going to take this commit ID. Now our branch is created. Now I'm going to push the specific changes in this branch. So git push origin feature session 32 branch. Okay. All right. Now let's go back to our browser and we will see if our application is successfully deployed. Now this is our Vercel environment, and here now if you see here, it's session 32, the commit which we have done, it's now building. And meanwhile it's building, let's do some changes in our environment variable, since we have added 2 environment variable, right? So here in our environment variable, here I'm going to add 2 new environment variable as auth Facebook ID, and add another environment variable as auth Facebook secret, right? And the value for auth Facebook ID is this, right? And the secret is this, right? So it would be a different for your case. And now let's save it. Once we save it, this is being added, right? These 2 environment variable are added in the environment list. Now it's required to redeploy. Now let's redeploy our application. Now deployment created successfully. Now we can see our deployment from here. Now it's building our latest, so it may take some time. So it will take couple of minutes to deploy. Now if you want to see your build log, you can see your build log from here. Now it's successfully deployed and we have the status as ready over here, right? Now we can verify in our production environment. So this is our production environment, and here now we would be able to see both of the provider, Facebook and Google. See, now we are able to see our sign in with the Google as well as we are able to see our Facebook, right? Now first try with the Facebook, and here we are going to test with KUMAR Programming, and we should be able to successfully log in with the Facebook provider, right? So now see here, we are able to successfully log in with our Facebook provider, and now I'll try with the login with our Google provider, sign in with Google. See, now I'm logged in with the Google provider, and here if you see, our image ID is getting changed. And one more thing I would like to inform you friends, if that once you try to log in with the Facebook, then might be you would be seeing that this application does not exist, our application is not available, because as of now our Facebook application is in test mode, it's not in production. So if you want to make it available for public user, then you have to complete your business verification for your Facebook app and get it reviewed. Okay, and that takes some time, like about a week. After that, your application will be available for sign in for public user. All right. So that's all we have in our this session. In our next session, we are going to implement our PayPal payment and we will integrate its API. And friends, at the end of this video, if you found this tutorial helpful, do me a favor, like this video to support me and my channel, and subscribe my channel if you haven't already done for more technical videos like this, and share this with your fellow developer who might find it useful. And if you really love my work, then consider buying me a coffee to support for more free tutorials. Link is given below in the description. That's all for the day. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, take care and keep learning.